What is up, Planeswalkers? Therex6 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Don't forget to head on over to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps support the channel. Now today, we're not doing Grixis artifacts. Grixis artifacts was something. Well, let me restate. We're not doing it right now. There's a lot of mythics and things that I just don't own, right? But we're also playing artifacts since that was the next thing up. And a member of the Discord server shared a really interesting deck. Shout out to King Palace Wine. This is SpaceMud. Now, why do I call it SpaceMud? Also, why do you just constantly move back? I call this SpaceMud. The reason I call it SpaceMud is Star of Extinction. It's a meteor, comes from space. Mud is the name that a vintage deck has, I believe, which is essentially an all-artifact deck. And the reason it's called Mud is that the old artifacts are, like, really brown. And I think they're ugly. I know a lot of older players do like how they look, but I personally like the silver aesthetic. So this is SpaceMud. This is essentially a artifact ramp deck that plans on winning the game using Banefire or Constructs. The goal of the deck is to have a ton of artifacts. We're only playing 8 colored lands. The deck is hilarious. Now, as you can see, we are only running 23 lands, and you might say, well, we're running like 7 drops and we're going to Banefire people for a ton? How are you doing that? Well, Treasure Map is great. Powerstone Shard is great, and we're running a single Gilded Lotus. So we're just going to run through each card individually. Fountain of Renewal, I've talked about this card several times, but the fact that you're able to play it on turn 1 and keep like accruing life and stemming the tide is fantastic against more aggressive decks, and against control, you're going to be able to cycle this out for another card draw. Additionally, it makes your constructs bigger. Banefire is the main win condition of the deck, and we have 2 because essentially, sometimes we will be able to Banefire people for 20 plus. That is not terribly difficult in this deck. It's a little slow, but it's not terribly difficult. But we do have 2 because sometimes it gets discarded, or we will need to Banefire something early, or we'll maybe have like access to Banefiring for 10, and we can do that over the course of a couple turns. So that's why we have 2 in the main deck, and we do have a couple extra on the side. Lava Coil. We need a little bit of early game removal. Let's be honest, this deck is really slow, and we want to make sure that we don't die in order to get to our Star of Extinctions and things like that. So we are running 3 Lava Coils. I think that is the most efficient of the red removal. You could use Lightning Strikes because those can go to the Dome, but I don't think it's necessary in this deck. 4 Treasure Maps. The Treasure is very important because it helps with Karn. The Treasure Map is very important for scrying and making sure that our library manipulation is great, and we, late game, can start drawing cards if we need to make sure we get to our late game cards. 4 Skyscanners. This essentially is just making our deck smaller. It cycles itself, and it is a blocker. It's not a great blocker, it's just a 1/1, but it does what it needs to do, which is draw us a card and help us not die. 1 Arcane Encyclopedia. This card might actually be good enough in this style of deck to be a 2 of or a 3 of. I'm not entirely sure. There is definitely room for cuts, but I just wasn't comfortable making a ton of cuts to this deck. This deck is a little difficult to make cuts to because you don't like win until you amass like everything anyway, so it's really hard to see what is super weak in the style of deck, and that's usually how I go about making cuts, is looking at what's weak, and it was hard to see that in this deck. So right now we're just playing 1, and it just allows you to keep drawing cards because we need to draw cards. The deck did initially play the Voltaic Servant, I believe is what it was called, which should be like way down here. A Voltaic Servant. But I cut those because the initial version didn't actually have too many artifacts that cared a lot about untapping at the end step. This would work with Arcane Encyclopedia, so that's a future direction that you could take, is to include more Arcane Encyclopedias and put the Voltaic Servants back. And Voltaic Servant is nice because it does have a decent-ish body against super aggressive strategies. Powerstone Shards. This is the backbone of the deck. With just 2, each of them tap for 4. With 3, they tap for 9. Total, I should mention. And with all 4, they tap for 16 total, and it's so good. If you're able to get out a bunch of Powerstone Shards, you're going to be able to dominate your opponent by Banefiring them for a ton. It's great, I love it, but it doesn't technically do anything else. Which is a little unfortunate, but it's like the backbone of the deck, and that's why it's the thumbnail. Jhoira's Familiar. I think this is the weakest card in the deck. The reason I still keep it in is because it does allow us to do different things. It allows us to have a different strategy. And the main different strategy, honestly, is with Helm of the Host. Essentially, the idea is we just get a bunch of birds that fly in the air and makes, for example, like the rest of our deck super cheap, and we can just start not chaining things together. It's not like anything's going to go infinite, but we can really start like playing a bunch of nonsense with Mishra's Self-Replicator and things like that. But I will say this is probably the weakest of the cards, and it could be taken out for something, potentially something that's in the sideboard, but for right now, it's never been terrible in my testing of it. To Traxos. Traxos, when we're playing this many artifacts, Traxos is almost always going to be able to untap a lot. So having a nice, like, relatively early 7/7 is really nice at being essentially an alternate win condition, and it works really nice with Helm of the Host. Obviously, Helm of the Host has a really extensive and large cast and equip cost, but the fact that we're playing so many ways to ramp means that a lot of the time, if we do end up drawing this, we're going to be able to use it. And even just putting it on a Karnstruct token is totally fine. You can just start making a bunch of huge things, and you never have to attack with the main one, because the new token gains haste. So you can essentially protect that main token from Settle the Wreckage or Seal Aways or things like that, and still get value over the course of the game. So that's very awesome. But I should say, we are only playing one, because we're not really a creature deck. It's just like an ancillary thing that we can do sometimes. Karn, really important. Draws us cards, makes us Karnstructs. You'll actually make Karnstructs a lot more than drawing cards compared to other decks that use Karn. Because of how many artifacts we get out by the time we have Karns, the Karnstructs are going to be really large initially, and that's very nice. One, Mishra's Self-Replicator. It's funny, pretty much. We have so much excess mana that if we're able to get this down relatively often and or relatively soon and protect it, then, you know, the first historic spell, we get to double this, and then the next one we double those 2, and then those 4. So it can get out of control. It's never happened because we are only, in my testing, because we are only playing it as a 1-of, but it's never also like been a dead draw because it's a 1-of. So it's, you know, take it or leave it. It's definitely something that you can cut if you don't want to play it and run something else. One, Gilded Lotus. Gilded Lotus, in my opinion, is a really good ramp card, but it's a little bit too slow. So we are only running one because we want like a bulk. We want a density of ramp, but we don't want too many Gilded Lotuses because I think it's a little bit too slow. Then for Star of Extinction, this is like the main way that we, like, our main comeback mechanism. It destroys essentially everything, including Planeswalkers, which is very important. Being able to get rid of pesky Planeswalkers with Star of Extinction is very important because other than our relatively small creature suite, we don't really have a great way of interacting with that. And obviously this also gets rid of a bunch of creatures. So that's very helpful. And yes, it blows up lands, but that's not the main point of the deck. The main point of the deck is to wipe away their field and then Banefire them to death. And then we're playing only 8 mountains because, as you can see, not a lot of red like requirements here. And we even have like treasures and Gilded Lotus, so even less of a need there. So we're playing 3 Arch of Orazca because we'd like to draw cards, 4 Zhalfirin Voids because we want to make sure we're getting the right cards, 3 Reliquary Towers because when we have cards, we want to make sure we can keep them, 3 Field of Ruin because I want to blow up your lands. By that I mean I want to blow up pesky lands. And 2 Detection Towers because sometimes they have hexproof and we need a Lava Coil or something. That's pretty much the thing. This is our sideboard. We are going to do best of 1 games, and I will say we are going to do ranked because it seemed like you guys do want to see ranked games even with casual decks, so that's fine. So I will start doing that. But 3 Fiery Cannonades, very helpful against super aggressive strategies. It doesn't work against pirates, but luckily not too many people are playing pirates. 3 Chaos Wands, it's just another thing to use our mana for. If you notice that your opponent is playing a lot of very powerful spells, then feel free to throw in some Chaos Wands. I can't speak words. 2 Rekindling Phoenix as a really nice annoying creature to bring it against like control. It also survives Star of Extinction because it just turns into an egg, so that's another reason that Rekindling Phoenix is a really good addition to the style of deck. 2 Immortal Sun because Planeswalkers can go die. It also draws us cards. It does stop our Karns, but the ability to draw more cards is like totally fine. 7. 3 Meteor Golems, they blow up anything we need. We have mana. If you have a problem permanent that you need to deal with, Meteor Golem. And then 2 more Banefires because sometimes your opponent is playing discard and you need to bane them in the face. That's pretty much it. But yeah, it's a really fun strategy. I had a ton of fun playing it on stream. Once again, thanks to King Piloswine for this deck. It's really interesting. And I figure people have seen Grixis artifacts before anyway, and I felt that this deck was a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Unique. So We are going to Zhalfirin Void first, because we don't want to draw any more lands. We do want to draw that, though. So we do have access to Lava Coil if they play something annoying on turn 1, but go against Bad Ninja. Alright, so they don't have anything, so I will just Zhalfirin Void again. Fountain of Renewal, they're playing blue, so they could be on control. But they could be on, like, anything else. I think that I will keep Fountain of Renewal on top, because it's fine. Next turn, I will probably Powerstone Shard. So they're playing blue-black. Interesting. So I can kill that if I want. Do I want to kill this? Blue-black with Siren Stormtamer. No, I think it's fine. I think I would rather just get my cards down. So we can go and play Powerstone Shard and Fountain of Renewal. And Fountain of Renewal does kind of blank the lone Siren Stormtamer. Siren Stormtamer does make our Lava Coils a little bit worse. Alright, Chaos Wand. Interesting. So, this is not actually good for us, because our opponent is going to probably get Star of Extinction. So that's real good against us, specifically, and we don't have any main deck artifact removal, so potentially very bad. That said, maybe they're not going to use it. Yeah, typically, people don't play Chaos Wand. Alright, so luckily they didn't have another thing to cast, so we're probably just going to cast Treasure Map here. Yeah, so we can just cast Treasure Map. And even if this gets countered, we can just cast another one. And our opponent, luckily, is kind of low on mana. Wizard Retort, that's fine. So I can actually Lava Coil here as well. So I might as well get rid of this. It's unlikely that I need to care about anything else. And yes, I could have Lava Coiled it first, and then my first Treasure Cove would have, like, resolved, but it should be fine. I do not need a Zhalfirin Void. Go ahead and put that stop up, and we'll start pinging them. Against certain matchups, you can absolutely just, like, chip someone away. But yeah, my opponent is, probably gonna... Oh, good, they have Lava Coil. I did forget that Lava Coil could get hit. So very, very lucky me, to be honest. Arch of Orazca. Arch would not be... Arch wouldn't have the City's Blessing immediately, but I think it's... no, I think there's just better things. Like, getting a Karn out would be very helpful. Oh, Banefire, alright. So, right now that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can Banefire for 7. So, the plan here is hope that my opponent doesn't hit a Star of Extinction, and just Banefire them to death. You can activate that instant speed, right? Yeah, they can activate that instant speed, so this is going to hit a Banefire or a Star of Extinction. Yep. Luckily, I have non-land sources. They should hit... Yeah, I think Reliquary Tower is a decent decision here. That Chaos Wand sucks. Alright, well, I can kill that, I guess. Why are you playing Chaos Wand? I've not gone up against that, like, at all. Because, like, no one plays this except, like, really weird decks. So, yep. My opponent needs to get Banefire here. Because, they can just blow up my Treasure Cove. And then I don't actually get... I guess I should have waited till the end of their turn, yeah. So that was a bit of a mistake on my part. So that's 2 down. Luckily, my opponent isn't doing anything else. Banefire's only for 9. And I can start drawing with Fountain of Renewal. Because my opponent's not hurting me. They're just using my own stars. Go ahead and cast Skyscanner. Gonna negate it? Oh, Essence Scatter? Sure. So yeah, they're playing a really strange control deck. Yeah, alright, well. Once they hit my Star of Extinctions, they'll have just my Banefire. Sure. This is the first deck I've come across a, like, super strange deck. Can I respond to that? Thank you. Yeah, I got another Powerstone Shard. I mean, that's the thing, is I have mana. It's, like, having mana is not going to be a problem. Alright, get another Zhalfirin Void. I'm going to keep that on top, and then I'm going to draw it. So my opponent has one more, my opponent has one more of my Star of Extinctions, and then they have nothing else in my deck. So their Chaos Wand is going to be useless. And Banefire does not get countered. So I can Banefire them for 9 and 9. So these each are 2. This is going to be gone, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I should be able to win. I should be able to kill my opponent. They get to blow up one of my Zhalfirin Voids, and then I just double Banefire them. Yep, sure. Yep, that's fine. You unlikely to have a way to blow up my artifacts. You're playing a strange deck, but I have no more sorceries in my deck, I'm pretty sure. Do I even cast a Karn? I mean, I might as well. No, wait. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can put them to 8 and not use my treasures. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Oh, I can't do math apparently. There we go. And they can't counter this, so theoretically, next turn they just die. Strange deck, they blew up a lot of my lands, but luckily, I have Powerstone Shards. Nicol Bolas, alright, well, we'll go ahead and drop the Karn. Hopefully they don't have another way to make me discard, otherwise we are screwed. Because I definitely need this Banefire. Alright, you're dead. We'll do this for 12. I think that's the max we can do, because we did 8, 9, 10, 11. No, 11. Your face. And let's just click these. And theoretically we win. My opponent doesn't have double black, so they can only gain 2 life with Moment of Craving. Yeah, I have nothing. Have fun with that. Goodbye. So they could have Moment of Craving, but that still would have left them lethal. Ranking up with a weird deck, but it's fun. So hopefully we come up against more of a normal deck, because that deck was like specifically decent against me. Like, if you can imagine it, I would have had several more lands in play, and I would have been chipping at them with my creatures. So this is a good hand. That's another decent thing about this deck, is a lot of the hands are really keepable. Because you don't need, like, a lot, like, the color restriction is, like, essentially non-existent. You have a bunch of ways to draw in the deck, so it's really strong. One of the things that I'm thinking about, or I've been thinking about adding, is Thematic Compass. It does only hit a few lands, but Thematic Compass does help against those decks that are, they have, like, 1 or 2 really large creatures. Alright, well, this is probably not going to be a game. Cuddle Master, I'm sorry. Alright, well, that's awkward. I think we would have done well, regardless. Depends on what their deck was, but we had a good hand. I'm just going to skip that in the description. Not really a reason to include that. Sure, Yep, that's a name. Yes, it is. Let's see, are we going first, or are we going to load in? Are we going to load in the hands? Is everything okay, Arena? Bud? Friendo? I'm still on the internet. Hello? Oh, there we go. Don't know what that was about. Once again, decent hand. We have Powerstone Shard, potentially into Gilded Lotus, a nice Banefire, Lava Coil if our opponent's up to stuff. So we should be good. We're gonna go ahead and lead off with a Mountain. Alright, so it looks like it's the lifelink deck. This could be a problem, depending on what follow-ups they have. So this could be a turn to a Johnny's Pridemate, which is fine, because we have a nice Banefire. Oh, it's Vamps. Well, it might actually not be Vamps, but it's probably Vamps. But I am going to just kill this. Next turn I can Powerstone Shard. The turn following I might just have to Karn. If I draw a land, I can Gilded Lotus instead, but let's see if they have Sky March. Sure. So yeah, this is Vamps. Star of Extinction is nice to see, and we just shard up. I might need to use Banefire as an early game card and plan on winning with Karns. And I think that's definitely a reasonable strategy. This is like a lifelink deck, so it's probably going to be more difficult to win with the Banefires than it would be compared to other decks. So, you know, sometimes we gotta modify your strategies. Skyscanner. Do I Skyscanner or do I Karn? I think I Skyscanner because I would like to hit my land drop. Yeah, darn. And for what it's worth, this can at least block. Paladin, sure. So yeah, they were correct in just blocking with that, or just attacking with that. Wow, Karns are weird. All right. There's Karn in plus.
I will defend my allies.
I'd like to land, but they're probably not going to give it to me. Fool! You fell into my trap. I'm keeping that Powerstone Shard on top. No attacks. So next turn I can Powerstone Shard. They'll each tap for 2. So I can Powerstone Shard into Gilded Lotus into Banefire. And then the turn after that I should be able to Star of Extinction. So Karn's going to take a little bit of damage here. I'm going to go ahead and kill Paladin of Atonement. Could obviously have a buff. Didn't have a buff. But I have 2 other Karns, so I don't really care. Sanctum Seeker, I do care about, because that is potentially going to hurt. So do we plus Karn or do we minus Karn? I'm pretty sure I'm going to play Powerstone Shard this turn. But I might just need to Banefire the Sanctum Seeker. No, I think it's fine. 2, 3, 4. Gilded Lotus. Yeah, I think this is just better. Karn can die. Or I can just -2 Banefire on the... Because I'm going to lose Karn when I star. And then just Banefire on the Sky March. I think that's reasonable. Because this is loss of life and it can't hit Planeswalkers. Yeah. Okay. So my opponent could still kill Karn, but they'd have to attack with both, and then I kill Sanctum Seeker, and I might not even need to use Star. I might be able to just use Karns to win. Alright, I'm going to use Star. They didn't attack. Alright, well, I'm going to get value. I'll take either. Probably going to give me the bird, is my guess. Nope, give me an encyclopedia. Cool, cool. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this only costs 7, so we have 6 more. So we're going to go and play... Actually, you know what? I think we're going to play Traxos after. We'll do this first. Because I want this to be a 5/5. Because I want to incentivize them to block with Martyr of Dusk. Darn, they didn't block the Martyr of Dusk. That's reasonable, I guess. But now we are going to... Oh, wow, that only uses our 3 artifacts. And we'll blow up a Danto.
Please do not do that.
Ouch. Oh, yeah, I miscounted my mana. I thought it would have Traxos. That's fine. I can just play the Arcane Encyclopedia. And as you can see, at this point, we're in a decent spot. And it's not like our opponent wasn't playing cards, right? They played on curve decently. But we just ramped. I will Traxos into Karn. Into Treasure Map.
Our actions determine the course of history.
I'll take it.
How convenient. An excellent choice.
Assume they're going to give me a land, and then next turn I can just snip that out. And I can just start drawing a bunch of cards. Yep. Land here, do this. I can block. So I minus on Karn, get the Powerstone Shard. I have 2 draws. I have 3 total draws every turn. Ajani's Pridemate gets large, but not fast enough, I don't think. I think I can grow my artifacts faster than he can grow his Pridemate. And I get to attack. Yeah, I should have done that first, but that's fine. Because I know I'm going to be casting the Powerstone Shard. So I can attack with this freely, because I essentially am giving it Vigilance. Go and take this. Go and play the Reliquary Tower, I suppose. Go ahead and play out the Powerstone Shard. Untap that. Then I have Arch, plus Arcane Encyclopedia. Yeah. This game pretty much should be won here, I think. So we came up against a wacky control deck. And, you know, a non-terrible life gain deck. This seems like a relatively normal life gain deck. They could have something here, but I don't care. Or maybe they were just doing it to grow their Ajani. I guess so. So we'll go Encyclopedia, tapping only 2 artifacts, and we'll Arch. And we'll do this. I should have done that first, for what it's worth. Get rid of that. Do this. And our artifacts are going to get quite large. Oh, look, it's Helm of the Host. Cool. So as you can see, this is not going to cost me much. I'm actually glad I get to win with a Helm of the Host, because that is something that didn't happen often. Yeah, cool. I hope you guys liked this deck. It was really cool. It's like a different take on artifacts, because it's a weird, like, mostly monocolored deck, but it has like cool red cards. I don't know. I really enjoyed this deck. I hope you guys like it too. Obviously, it's not super budget friendly, considering it has like a lot of rares and mythics, but it is cool. Oh, I guess I should actually show you guys that. This was the OG version that Pileswine gave. And I did make a couple different changes, as you can tell. But yeah, I would like to thank my wonderful patrons, especially Salman and Zoraga, for their continued support. If you'd like to join them in supporting the channel, you find links to that in the description down below, as well as links to my Discord server, where you guys can send me cool decks like this, and I can play them and give you guys a shout out. Hope you guys like this video. I really do, because I love it as well. If you did, go and tap that like button, add a subscription to your mana pool, and cast a comment in the comment section down below. And until next time, all will be one.